So it's kind of just my kind of sort of update on what we've been doing in XFP team and what we've got coming up. Normally I'd like to do live demos, but I haven't got any of them today. So, I've got some things to show you. So new features. Well, I think it was probably in this room a year ago or 2 years ago that I announced the new form builder. That came out in March, and as with any new product, I would say that it's been somewhat of a rocky road in terms of getting it implemented and out there in the wild and into production. But there are now customers who are using it in production and are taking kind of form submissions and hooked into CXM and all the kind of sort of standard stuff that we'd expect. So we continue to be working on it. We continue to be adding the features to it. And yeah, so what else have we been working on? Well, we've added the Bartek components to the new form builder. So this allows you to kind of look up the kind of property details and features at the property, being able to do that within a new form. We've also added health check. So health check is a feature in the new form builder which allows us to tell you any configuration errors in a page. So you may have a Office 365 calendar integrated in the in your page, but when you move it from system to system, that calendar may not be available in the system you're importing it to, and health check will come along and tell you about that. We've added options to make a question public only. We've always had an option to be able to make a question private only, but now we've got an option to make public questions. Embedded forms are in the new form builder. SureSign electronic signatures are now in the new form builder. So all these are functionality that wasn't there at the release of the new form builder, but is now being added. One of our biggest requests, I would say, is the ability to populate an address lookup from the user account. This is probably the number one thing that I get asked at. We've added that ability in, so now you can set the postcode and the property UPRN, and when a customer is logged into your site and they go to that particular form, it will pre-populate their address for them. It works the same way for internal forms as well, so customer services filling in a form on behalf of a customer can take advantage of that. You've heard a bit about Photon this morning. The new form builder is built completely in Photon. There is no kind of legacy scripts in there. It is a Photon product. And we've added support to XFP to support the wider Photon implementations. We implemented some new Bartek features for getting future work packs. That allows you to kind of assign bin deliveries and missed collections based on work packs. Some accessibility improvements on both the front end and the back end. Probably the second most requested thing after we kind of removed it in error was the ability to use date ranges in reports. That has been restored for forms and payment reports. We've also added in the ability to query Northgate maps and assure assets. So these are assets at a property, so whether it's a registered collection, what type of bin it's got, you can pull that information into your form and make decisions based on it. And we've done some performance improvements, updated the manuals, and general stability improvements in the new form builder. So that's probably since the last update, which I gave was July, so that's what we've been doing for the last 5 or 6 months. The other thing that we released actually back in August, I think it was, and that was the ability to do access codes. So they allow you to generate a code which can be passed on to a third party, so that third party can contribute to a case without having to be signed in or registered on that case. So a couple of examples where this might be useful: taxi licensing, where the applicant applies for themselves, but they're working for a company, and the company needs to come in and fill their bit. In higher education, it could be an application form, finance form. You can have the student fill it in, and then the parent come along and fill in their bit. So it's a way to bring that kind of shared access to a form. So XFP generates the code, and then that code is saved in CXM, and we query CXM case for that code and we compare it. So I've got a video of how this all works. So I'll try and skip through bits of it because it's about 5 minutes long. So I'm starting off as a customer who wants to take out a taxi license application, signing into my account, filling in the personal details, and yeah, let's speed this up. So I'm entering the details, I'm indicating that the vehicle owner is not myself and it is somebody else. So that will then email the vehicle owner to say, we've had this application, can you come along and confirm the application, or that you're happy with that person. So I'll just fast forward some of this. So now that my application form has been submitted, it needs to go into the next stage where the vehicle owner completes the application. So they receive an email, and it's probably a bit small in there and the contrast isn't great. But essentially there's a link which contains the case reference number. So you click that link, it opens up the form, passes in that case reference number, and at the bottom here is an access code. It's a 9-digit code, which needs to be entered by the person filling in that form to access the case. So we'll just click that. So they're going to go back here, they're going to copy the code, and then they're going to paste it in. And then they get their questions about the case, so that they can then pass it through and submit the form. Now, that's the happy path. That means the code is correct. If we go back into the form and we just enter a nonsense code, as in the incorrect code, the form's now going to say that you haven't validated and you can't continue to update this case. No matter what we change it to, it will only be the code which is accepted. So I set this up yesterday afternoon. Only took about an hour to do a case type in the form. It's really quite simple. Essentially, what we've done is we've added a new piece of logic, and that is called generate access code, and that's a calculation that we can run on the form and then pass that access code through to CXM. So the logic here generates the access code, and then if I go to the CXM templates, helps if I unpause it. So we go to CXM templates, and at the bottom here, contrast is really bad. Trust me, that says auth code, and we're passing through the logic to that. So once that's been saved, if we go have a look at the case type, we can have a look through here. We can see at the bottom there, the access code has been recorded against the case. And we'll go next. And in the workflow, we've set an email which will email the vehicle owner in order to be able to complete the submission. We then link them through to a second form, which basically uses the get value of a case field to get the access code, and then so we call the CXM get value of field for a specific case passing through the case field. That gives us back the access code. The user enters their access code, and we compare the two values, and then we'll branch the form based on that. So here we got get access code from case, security code entered, and then the different return values. And then we've got some branching rules. So that's, like I said, something we released a little while ago, but I don't think we particularly made a big sort of deal about it. But there's probably more use cases than just the taxi licensing. It's any case where you need sort of multiple parties to have some input into it. So upcoming features, this is our roadmap as it looks today. We have got the ability to access matrix question variables. So these are in new form builder. We've got the matrix questions and being able to pass them into CXM cases and things like that. We've got e-booking enhancements, the ability to kind of update booking from a CXM case, the ability to kind of report on SLAs, to set up cutoff times. That's all in development. And also conditional logic, which I'll explain a bit more in the next couple of slides because I've got a bit more on that. Okay. So in the near term, we're talking kind of early Q1 next year, or Q1 next year. We've got Windows Server 2016 support, white space integration, the migration tool from the legacy form builder to the new form builder, Northgate maps and Assure integration phase 2 work, and Banner Ethos integration. And then longer term, towards the end of next year, got more integration work with OnBase and Objective, some data export, and XFP in Galaxies, which has been requested quite a bit. So that's what we've got coming up. Now, conditional logic replaces PHP calculations. So one of the things that we did in the new form builder was we didn't implement PHP calculations. There's a number of reasons for that. Some technical, some security. So conditional logic replaces that, and they're if style logics, and we can define parameters for them. And the logics can be chained together to create kind of complex logic, really. So the first thing that we've got with conditional logic is you can create definitions. Now, definitions would be like a statement on the logic. So if you've got a prorated amount, let's just pause that for a second. If you've got prorated amount to pay based on the month of the year, you would set a definition to be a month of the year is October. And you can use that to then, if current date is October, you can then set it up. We can also define things which are garden bins, or that they are courses, or anything as a constant. It's quite hard to explain. So hopefully in this video you'll see some examples of where they can be used. So there's 3 different types of definitions you can set. A specific date, a constant, which is a text or a number value, and a date calculation, which is kind of a special date, which changes as and when the definition is run. So choose a constant, going to call it garden bin, and the value will be HH garden bin, which is the internal value for that particular service. For a specific date, we can set a renewal date for our service, and we can say in our logic, if today's date is before the renewal date, because the renewal date is our definition. And we can also set up a date calculation. So date calculation would be how long open the response time might be. So if we wanted to say within SLA, we can use that as a date calculation to say 14 working days or 7 working days. So then if I move on to the next slide. So once we've set up our definitions, we can then go and make our calculation and our logic. So if you're familiar with the new form builder, you'll know that the kind of calculations have been moved to advanced and logic. And under here, we've now got a new option called conditional. So it's the 4th option on there, and that will give us an if block where we can define the if conditions. So in this particular case, you can't see it because it's blurred. If response item size is equal to, and then a static value of large item, and then we can return a definition to say that we're returning this price because this is the price of the large item. And then otherwise return the price of the small item. So we then got some e-booking enhancements coming up. Cut-off times for creating, updating, and cancelling an event. Being able to link directly through to manage a booking from CXM. Event slot duration, so flexible event slots. So at the moment, you define your event slot as an hour or as half an hour. You'd be able to, from a question, you'd be able to say that this particular service needs an hour, this one needs half an hour, this one needs 45 minutes. And that can all be determined within the form itself. Additional SLA reporting and being able to view your bookings from the My Account area. And then finally, the top 5 feature requests in XFP, as of this morning, was reply to sender headers in email templates. So that's being able to set the reply header on a per form basis. Being able to relax the restrictions around unique naming of page templates. Warning before session timeouts and user-friendly session timeout messages. Being able to set the max upload file size per question and total attachment size per form. And also an all answered variable in email templates instead of the kind of all question answered variables. And that is me done. So, I don't know. Oh, sorry, I was roughly on time.